Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. GH has been on fire lately. It's been on fire, and this episode is no different. Here's the one thing that we can all agree on. Well, there's a couple of things we can all agree on. One, Nicholas is a moron. Okay? Nicholas is an absolute moron. I don't know why they're writing him like that. I've never seen him just do things this stupid. But, yeah. So, at this point, this whole situation's falling apart. Jason comes in out of nowhere because, well, Jason's just awesome like that. Okay, he comes in there and he's like, yo, listen, drop him or I'll drop you pretty much. So now we got a standoff. Now we got this whole standoff. And I rewinded about 4 times because I want to make sure I kind of understood what was going on. So they're at a standstill. Even with Jason being there, they're at a standstill. It was Nicholas that jumped one of the guys, and subsequently, when Jason and them, they're fighting back and forth, Spinelli was able to get away. Jason shot Cyrus. Cyrus ran off. After the whole thing is over, and everyone's, safe so far, Ava comes out of nowhere, and Ava's like, oh, I'm fine, I was in the car the whole time. I was like, and yet you still don't have on a wig, so I don't know what the hell you're actually planning, but okay, sure. You know what, I want to sit there and try to believe, no, I was going to sit there and say, I want to sit there and try to believe that they were going to put a wig on her if it came down to it, but to be honest, they didn't seem like they had anything, so I don't understand how that was going to work, but whatever. Whole thing's over. Ava comes out and hugs Nicholas. They say some nice words to each other. And Carly's... I think Carly has that look on her face that everyone's feeling right now. Everyone in the audience that's watching this is feeling it. Carly's like, yeah, listen, could you just, take him away, because it was this idiot's fault that got this whole thing ruined. Every now in life, sometimes you gotta just sit there and just take that out. Sometimes you just gotta kind of sit there and be like, you know what? You're right, and I want to be upset with you, but you're right. So I'm just gonna shut my mouth. No, not Nicholas. Nicholas says something along the lines of, I'm not gonna apologize, blah 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 blah. Bro, you almost got a bunch of people killed. Are you serious, right? I'm literally like, bro, are you serious? You're... God, my goodness. So, everyone's, kind of happy, whatever. They're kind of, dropping their guard. There's one guy that's still alive. I just don't understand how they just didn't make sure that everyone was kind of, dead. So one of the guys is about to sit there and picks up the gun. He's about to sit there and shoot someone. And Dante comes in. Dante saves the day at this point. Well, he doesn't save the day, but he saves someone. But with that being said, he comes in there with the cops. And, they arrest Jason. Carly is upset, and understandably. And so is Spinelli a little bit, but... Jason's like, yeah, I kind of had this coming. It was only a matter of time, so... so much for going back to get Britt. That's gonna kind of suck. But... Cyrus is in the win. Cyrus is in the win, and later on, you see him kidnap, Portia. Now, Portia and Curtis are kind of hanging out, they're talking... One thing leads to another, and Portia kisses Curtis. And then Portia backs off and is like, yeah, was I reading the directions wrong? Was I reading this whole situation wrong? And instead of Curtis being, because I'm like, Curtis, what are you doing? I don't even know what Curtis is doing at this point. Because I can't, here's the thing, I can't sit there and fault Curtis for this. I can't. Curtis was like, I didn't know if I was giving mixed signals or whatever. I just pretty much signed my divorce papers. Um, Now, I've been no secret how I feel about Portia, and I feel like she is a definite step up from, well, Jordan in every single way. But, dude is not exactly over Jordan, and now he has this woman, this beautiful, stunning woman kissing him, and he's like, yeah, I didn't mean to, oh, this is just kind of bad, so now she feels hurt. He doesn't want her to walk away, but, she's like, yeah, let's not call for, because apparently she's going to be planning some sort of, like, party or whatever there for, like, the kids or whatever, like Trina and Cam and Jocelyn, and, well, that's pretty much about it. And whatever other random stand-ins that they can sit there and get. But with that being said, she feels pretty embarrassed, she feels pretty stupid, and she feels hurt. So she leaves. Now, she gets to her house, and she knows that the door is already open. Now, at this point, I'm like, well, the door is open. Maybe you shouldn't go inside. I mean, the door is just open like Trina just leaves the door open, she just leaves the door open. But she goes inside, she sees blood on the floor. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, well, to be honest, I can kind of understand where her mind is going. Maybe she thought it was Trina or whatever, but it's Cyrus. And he doesn't have his ponytail. Because apparently being shot means that, he just doesn't have a ponytail. Anyway, he has a gun, and honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm not going to lie. Here's the thing. I think that we all saw this coming. Okay, the minute that Cyrus got shot, he ran off into the wind, and when Portia was going back to her house, I knew that was going to happen. I didn't think that Portia was actually going to get in the door first. I thought he was going to grab her way before. But, yeah. Side note, does anyone know if General Hospital is coming... If General Hospital is coming on Monday? The way it ended, and it was like, next week on General Hospital, it was like next week or Monday. I mean, I'm listening to saying that's because Days isn't coming on Monday either. So, I don't know if GH is, but I guess find out. Now, after, Jordan and Dante sit there and question Brando, and Brando pretty much just says everything. He's just like, yeah, he tried to shoot me, he tried to kill my mom, yada, yada, yada. So he just spills all the beans. And, the reason, Sasha, talks about, the fact that, Cyrus had a thing for her, and, that's what kind of, like, pushed him over the edge, I guess. Now, they talk after, Brando and Sasha talk for a little bit, but the one thing that I found really interesting is that when Sasha was like, yeah, it's kind of weird that, he could be so possessive, like, I hung out with him a couple of times and he gave me stuff and, he was into me, but, like the way she said it, it's almost like it surprised her. And I'm like, well, it surprised me too, because, yeah, I can see he wants to probably, like, hook up with you, but he didn't come across as, like, super obsessive. Like, this whole thing just seemed like it just came out of nowhere. Weird. So let's talk about Maxie and Austin. And you know what? Before I was going to sit there and wait and say this towards the end. Screw it. After watching that episode yesterday, thinking about it all night, thinking about it at work, this character isn't working for me. Now, don't get me wrong, this is only the second day. But, this character isn't working for me for a couple of reasons. And in the late 90s, well, in the early 90s, early not in the 90s, early 2000s. Whenever they killed off a character, they would try to bring him back as a twin. And for the most part, it worked for the most part. But after a while, that trend kind of just, like, got old. Now, they could have actually... Here's the thing. Because we all knew that Roger left to kind of take care of some personal business, charities, and stuff like that. There could have been a much better way that they could have, like, wrote him off and then just have him come back. Because this whole redemption arc of him being a bad person, going to be a loving father, a great husband, a really good son, and then you kill him off. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then you just bring back the character as... I mean, you just bring back the actor as a different character, and we're just supposed to be like, yeah, no, that's cool, that totally makes sense. And I kept that they're trying to rationalize in my head with the whole Michael Eastwood thing. I mean, he was John McBain, and then he was some doctor that I can't remember. I guess he was Kiki's father. And then he came back as Finn. And I know I'm kind of cherry picking because I can probably be saying the same thing, but just I don't know. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I almost actually find the whole Michael Eastwood thing kind of worse because you just... Okay, the John McBain thing I understood because of the whole Prospect Park thing, but then you bring him back as one doctor, you killed him off. Okay, then you just bring him back as another doctor, and it's like... There's just... My point is, there could have been much better ways that they could have wrote the character off and then just have him come back, and now he's supposed to be a doctor. I mean, seriously, it cannot be me. It cannot just be me that's just seeing him, that just can't see him as a doctor. I just can't see him as a doctor. Side note, and I know maybe some people may not know this, or watch a show called The Vampire Diaries. There's a guy on there named Ian Somerhalder. I loved his character when he was a character named Damon. Just badass rebel. I saw him just as being this badass rebel. Now he's on this new show on Netflix, and this guy is playing a doctor, and I'm just like, this is just like, no, this isn't working for me. And that's the same way I feel with Roger's new character. But you know what? I guess it's still early. So with that being said, the baby wasn't crying in the beginning, but the baby started crying. So, that's good stuff. But with that being said, you know, Austin, it's going to take me a while to get used to that name. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to that name. But, he's like, yeah, let me sit there and try to find some help. Call a doctor, call an ambulance, or whatever. So, at this point, we all know what happens. He gets knocked out. And I think her name is Nurse Jennings. I could be wrong at this point. And honestly, to tell you the truth, it doesn't matter because I think she's dead. But the point is, she comes across as a psychopath. So now she has all these burns on her face, and her leg is all like, you know, kind of messed up. And this turns into a damn horror movie. This almost like turns into some sort of horror movie. So now she's sitting there trying to chase Maxie through the woods, and there's a couple of funny parts. There's this one funny part where she's cornering her. And Maxie's like, oh, he's coming to it. So this chick turns around, and Maxie just, bong, kicks on the ground and starts running. And at this point, I'm laughing my ass off, because this is just great. I was like, okay, I could just watch like a whole thing of Maxie just running through the woods with her baby. So she runs to the woods. I always love whenever they choose interesting times to make Maxie smart. Okay. Somehow, at first, I didn't understand why she was putting like rocks and like she finds this one part. I guess it's this rickety bridge or whatever. This bad place or whatever. So she puts some rocks there and covers it up with some brushes and stuff, and she just sits there and waits. And Jenny comes in. Now Jenny, whatever his nurse name is, because it's not going to matter. she comes in and she's like, you're gonna come back with me. You can't escape me and stuff like that. And Max is like, you're gonna have to sit there and pry this baby from my dead cold hands. And the nurse is like, okay, well, I'll do it. Because at the end of the day, what was her plan, by the way? What was she actually, was she really going to kill her, take the baby, give her to Peter, and then what was going to happen? Peter was just going to be so happy, he was going to be like, you know what, I was thinking about putting you in the dumpsters, but you got my child, so whatever, I guess you could be my new Maxie. She almost seemed like she was willing to go through killing Maxie to get the baby. I don't really understand how that actually worked. It didn't work, but I don't understand how they actually played that out like that. Anyway, she starts walking towards Maxie. She falls in a hole. And I'm just like, okay, Maxie. I guess they choose now for you to be smart. And no, I have not gotten over the whole Levi thing. Because that... I think that was like the most disappointed I've ever been in Maxie. Was during that whole Levi story. That was just... Anyway, the nurse is... I don't know if she's dead or knocked out. I have no idea. But she calls Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, I'm going to be honest... I felt like Brooklyn was just there just to wait for Maxie's call. Yeah, she was waiting for Maxie's call, but it was just like... Did they really need her to come in today? They couldn't just have somebody else, just give her a day off, have her do stuff or whatever. She was just there for a paycheck. And so literally she calls up Brooklyn, and she's like, come and get me. And that was the whole point of Brooklyn, being in this episode. She literally waited towards the end, and she became somewhat useful. So, cool. And this is when this episode starts to go somewhat downhill. So Anna comes in, she comes in to Finn, to talk to Finn, and Liz, once again, gives her attitude. Oh, you're the person that did this, that, and the third, and if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't have happened, that would have happened, and, I was going to sit there and call him Todd. My husband wouldn't be dead, and I don't know, maybe it was just something about the way she was just mouthing off. It was like, alright, Liz, we get it, we're all kind of angry at Anna, but, she can't change that, so, can you, go somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe it was just her tone. Sometimes with Liz, I don't know what that one is sometimes. For some odd reason, she just kind of got annoying. And the thing is, I understand exactly where she's coming from. And I understand exactly why she's coming at Anna the way she is, but, what do you want her to do at this point? We're all mad at her. She's not, as far as I'm concerned, she's not off the hook, but, you just sit there just giving her attitudes, what is that doing? For anyone. So anyway, Anna gives, Finn notes about the doctor, or some guy named Sean, sit there and see if it would help with his research. Now, back at the Quartermain's house, this is where I felt like we was playing a game of rinse and repeat. Chase is there, Michael and Willow continue to lie to him. That's pretty much about it. That's literally what they're doing. They lie to him. When Chase isn't in the room, they talk in secret. Once again, they're all like, oh, well, once he gets better, we'll be back together, but, he has to come first, and yada, yada, yada. It was just like, we're really doing this again? Wouldn't it have been nice if he actually overheard everything? And for a second, when he was like, oh, I heard y'all talking about me. Cool. So now you're gonna sit there and tell him the truth since he already knows, right? Nope. I don't know what he overheard. It wasn't that. And then he gets sick. Again. And I'm not gonna lie, I was just like, alright. So they take him back to the hospital. Finn is like, I need more of the antidote. And Anna goes to try to go get it from Peter. So, I just felt like I was just watching the exact same. Like, this is like the third time that he's been sick and that he needs the antidote and that they lied to him. And it was like, now, Jordan, Jordan and Dante's plan is hinging on trying to protect Gladys and making sure she gets out of surgery. Here's the thing about Gladys, and I'm trying not to be a dick. I don't think that she deserves to die, okay? She's a terrible woman, and if you ever worked retail or pretty much anywhere that you had to sit there and deal with the public, you had come across a Gladys before in your lifetime, and they are very terrible, bitter people. But I don't think that she deserves to die. But I also don't really care either. The only reason why I actually care is because of Brando. Because here's the thing, you can't choose your family. You can't. And Brando was sitting there being all torn. He was like, yeah, she's, been hassling me, harassing me, but she's made me a better person or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. If Gladys didn't get shot, he wouldn't have been saying that stuff. But, with that being said, the only person I actually feel bad for is Brando. Because despite the terrible, nasty POS of a woman that she is, he still loves her. He still loves her. And I can't sit there and fault the guy for that. I really can't. Relationships are complicated in general. But yeah, with Gladys, it's like, it's like the only reason why I don't want her to die is because of Brando. If they were not related, I'm like, man, that's terrible. Man, I actually kind of feel like a dick for saying that. I don't want her to die, okay? It's not like I'm sitting there wishing for this woman to die. She really did this to herself, so I can't sit there and act like I'm just like, oh, I'm so heartbroken that you made all these bad choices and you hung around with a guy who your son told you was deadly and dangerous and would dispose of you and the sad thing is that he would have disposed of her sooner or later. So it's hard for me to sit there and feel bad for her. And yet I still kind of feel like a dick. I think that's about it. I actually think that's about it. I'm just still sitting there thinking, it's like, I don't want this woman to die. I can't sit there and muster up the emotional baggage to actually care. Because of the choices that she did for herself. So, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.